Hey guys, welcome to Airsoftology Mondays, the show that answers your questions, gives you some hints and help, and also shows you how to accessorize your accessories. Is that a thing? I'm your host, Jonathan Higgs, and welcome to Mondays again. I know this is kind of confusing. It's the first time you guys are joining me on a Monday. We are splitting out the Tuesday show into two parts so I can get more questions in for you guys. So we're gonna have tips on Tuesday and we're gonna have questions on Monday. So still the same content, actually more content, and an additional show. So if you guys wanna just get down to the meat of a tip or you wanna hear the questions, you can now do both. So before we get into the questions, I wanted to give you an update of what's going on the next week, and I am working on that loadout video. I know you guys have been asking for it, so that is on the way. Decided not to do it at the event. I'm gonna do like a really elaborate one here at the studio. So that will be coming very shortly. Keep your eyes peeled for the next week or so. And also remember from last week, you were asking about the community night, and it was the insurgency night, which is the video. That was the video pick of the week. So it'll be Friday, October the 3rd. Join us that night. If you guys are looking forward, I have the link right down here below to take you over to the page that we're having to support it. So if you want to join us, it's gonna be me and Callsign Hollywood and Robo and a ton of other airsofters and YouTubers and things like that. We're all gonna be online playing Insurgency. And if you haven't got Insurgency, it's playinsurgency.com and you'll be able to get the game. It's like 15 bucks, it's pretty cheap. But enough about that, let's get into questions. Fresmore writes, can I store BBs in my magazine or should I always unload the magazine? Yeah, it's definitely a bad idea to leave BBs in the magazine, but I want to clarify that too because it depends on the type of magazine you're looking for. So if you're looking at a mid-cap magazine like this one here, this one came with the Echo 1 Platinum Edition as a metal mid-cap, you're going to want to drain these out. Now if they're loaded in here, there's two schools of thought. You can keep the BBs, or the thought is if they've been loaded in, they can be kind of damaged and you want to get rid of them. I usually keep them if I've just loaded them up for like a quick skirmish, but if they're for a long event or I'm using bios, which is pretty much what I use all the time now, I tend to throw this away. I don't want to risk a jam. So all you got to do is a little lever here on the top and you're going to drain those out just by pulling that lever either into the trash or back into a bottle or back into a bag to save them for later. On the high caps, the dreaded high cap rattle, I kid, I actually run both, so before I get all the hate from the mid cap or the high cap lovers out there, what you're gonna wanna do is just take the stress off the spring of this. So by doing that, you don't have to necessarily take the BBs out of here. I always leave them in. In fact, this is one that's been on my shelf for a while and you can tell it's full of BBs. Just do the same thing. You wanna take the stress off the spring, you'll pull this lever back, the BBs will fly out and you'll hear the winding of the spring just kind of whoop, and everything goes and it takes the stress off this. There can even be BBs down in this tube here as long as there's no stress. You don't have to actually drain them all the way out if you don't want to. So that's just something to do. If you take the stress off these, it's not going to kill the springs inside of them. If you leave them filled, it will kill them, and even on high caps, they're just not going to feed as well. Southern Connecticut Airsoft writes, I have 5 airsoft pistols, 1 KSC Glock 18C, 2 TMG 17s that I've upgraded myself. I also have a KWA M9 and an Elite Force 1911. My question is, what's your opinion on upgrading guns that are rather old, such as the Tokyo Marui G17, or buying a new metal pre-upgraded gun, such as a KWA or an Elite Force? To be honest, I enjoy both. I kind of enjoy tinkering with the old ones. In fact, this will be coming up very shortly in a review. I have a Tokyo Marui Glock 18C, or G18C. Can't say the Glock word. Oh, I just said it. I'm going to get in trouble and probably get sued. The G18C from, of course, TM. And you can do a lot of upgrades on this. And I have quite a few things on my list to do upgrades on this. So upgrading old guns, I think, is really a lot of fun. It's pretty cool. Some of the older KWAs and of course the Tokyo Maruis, you can find a ton of upgrades for these pistols. As for a pre-upgraded gun, one I've been looking at here recently, also have another upcoming review on, is the CZ P09 Duty, which is this pistol here. It also takes green gas mags and CO2 mags. I got the green gas mag in here with CO2 that shoots a lot harder. I mean, this thing has a monster kick. So out of the box stock, this is going to be kind of one of your pre-upgraded pistols, or if you want the more purist on the CO2, like an Elite Force 1911, like this one right here, those all are going to work out. So really for me, it's either or. I think there's a lot of fun tinkering with gas guns. I've been doing a lot of tech work on AEGs for quite a long time. I mean, probably the better part of 10 years. So it's kind of fun to wander off into that gas world, into an area I'm not, really terribly experienced in, so it's still kind of new territory. It's fun and it's exciting. Pack the Phoenix writes, "Hey Jonathan, I recently bought a KWA SR10 as my first airsoft gun. When I went out to shoot it for the first time, I ran into a problem where I removed the magazine, high cap, from the mag well and about 5 BBs fly out. This happens every time I remove the magazine with BBs still inside. I'm not sure what's going on here or how to fix it, hoping you can help me out." Yeah, Pack, actually don't worry, that's totally normal with AAGs. In fact, there are very few guns that don't do what you're describing, actually have a couple of BBs fall out when you take the magazine out. So take my Elite Force 4 CRL here that I put a lot of PTS products. I got actually the new Centurion Arms rails on here, as well as a bunch of other things like muzzle brakes from Griffin and all that. But enough whoring the gun out here. It's all about what happens when you take the mag out. So what you're getting is when you pull it out, BBs fall from the mag well. That's normal because what happens is the hop-up chamber has a bit of a tube in it, about yay long. So the BBs are being loaded from the magazine up into the hop-up chamber to where the air nozzle picks them up and the gun fires. So in that limbo area, you've got about 3 to 5 BBs that kind of live in that no man's land, and they're going to fall out every time you take the magazine out, even if you've dumped the entire magazine. If it's totally empty, there's still not enough pressure to push it all the way. It's not a problem you're going to see on gas blowback guns because of the design of gas blowback. They actually have a lip that hold on to the actual BB and they feed a little differently. And then Mad Bull made a 3-in-1 hop-up chamber, I think they still make it now, and it actually has an O-ring, so it'll actually prevent those BBs from falling out. It actually holds them in. It's got a little rubber gasket, so when it goes into the hop-up chamber, it hangs on to those and they stay up in there. So those are the only few moments that, or in a system of PTW and some sniper rifles as well, are all going to hold into the BBs. But for most AEGs out there, you're not going to have that, the holding on, and you're going to have those BBs drop out. So yeah, fear not, that's totally normal. Aces Airsoft writes, "Hey Jonathan, been struggling for a long time to find a good pistol that won't break my bank, but at the same time, a high performance pistol. I'm trying to avoid CO2 guns. Any input?" Well, I had a list for you until you said CO2 guns. So actually I've narrowed that down to just about one gun right now that's on my radar. And again, this is my opinion, so I'm sure there's tons of other opinions out there. So when you say affordable, I'm gonna guess right around that $100 price point or even a bit below that. And then having that CO2 requirement to kick out will definitely get rid of things like the P09, things like the 1911 by Elite Force, things that I would normally recommend, but they are CO2. So I would definitely say right now for me, price performance, right at the $100 point, like right at $100 on the dot, is the Walther Ppq. I actually did a review on this pistol. It's OEM by VFC, that's who actually makes this pistol, and I even have a modification to turn it to full auto and semi-auto select fire, which is super easy to do. It will avoid the warranty. But yeah, for me, for that $100 price point, I mean, definitely approachable and not CO2, this is the pistol. It shoots straight, it shoots hard, it works, and it's backed by a warranty here in the US. So it's kind of tough to really dethrone this one for a budget green gas pistol out there on the market. So also, if you guys are out there watching, you got other opinions for budget pistols that are in the green gas and you like them, throw them in the comment section below and help him out to give him some ideas, things that I might have missed. Rotary Problems writes, "Can you even?" Nope, I can't even. I can't even. Jacob Hill writes, "Hey, I purchased the Crytek CRB on Saturday. I used it the whole day at Carcon 1 Airsoft, and toward the end of the game, I noticed the pistol grip was extremely hot. I'm using 11.1 LiPo. Do you know what could be causing this? Thank you." Actually, that happens on a lot of guns, especially with the beefier motors out there. So some of the higher magnetism motors, and on 11.1, you're doing a lot of semi-auto shooting, especially semi-auto, and then sustained full auto fire. You're gonna see over heavy use, that grip will heat up. In fact, during Operation Ironclad this last weekend, I was using the Amoeba Honey Badger extensively, the M013, I think it's the model number they call it, and that motor got so hot, I was having to do a lot of semi-auto fires, a semi-auto game only, and it heated up to the point where I have gloves on. I mean, it was screaming hot, and that's really common. In fact, a lot of my teammates, you'll see this over the years, I mean, heavy sustained fire will definitely heat up that grip. It's not bad, it's normal, it's gonna happen. Just, you wanna let that cool off between games. If you do some serious shooting and it gets really hot, it will affect the performance a little bit on the trigger response, will kind of be decayed a bit, and then your rate of fire will drop a little bit while it is still hot. But once it cools back down, it'll be just fine. And guys, that is it for questions this week. And remember, if you want to get your question in the show, it's really simple. Just right down here below in the comments is where you want to put your question. Vote those up for me, and the ones that bubble up to the top of the pile or are written really well will definitely get brought on the next show. And before we get to video recommendation of the week, I do want to show you something since we were talking about PTS accessories, and I thought this was a really cool one and wanted to share it with you. It's this little accessory here on the end. And what this is, it's made by PTS, and it's a cool little accessory for your accessory, the suppressor. This is their Griffin armament suppressor here. This is a glass breaker, and you've seen a lot of some of the SEAL team guys using these, if you pay close attention, on the end of their suppressors, designed to break through the glass, things like that. A little spiky, but nothing big enough to hurt anybody on the field at all. Definitely not like some of those meat grinder flash hiders that I've used in the past, and I've jammed those in my legs and it hurts. But yeah, I just thought this was a really cool touch and a neat accessory with what PTS is putting out here currently, really stepping up the accessory game when it comes to airsoft and premium accessories specifically. All right, and of course that means it's time for the video recommendation of the week as we end out our video here. And this one comes from the guys over at Beatdown Boogie. I don't know if you guys follow them or not. They're actually avid airsofters. I met them at SHOT Show, I think about 2 or 3 years ago, I believe. Really cool crew, actors, and then productions led by Micah Moore is his name. Does some fantastic work. Does a lot of stuff at anime and cosplay conventions. There's a lot of production around that as well. But they've had this project. This one's been around for a while. It is Modern Warfare Gear Solid. I think I got the name right. And it's kind of this funny parody hybrid between Modern Warfare, Call of Duty kind of thing, and Metal Gear Solid. And it's humorous, it's funny, it's very well produced, it's a long series, and in fact these guys have a lot of other great stuff on their channel as well, some stuff that's Mario based and a lot of really funny things. And of course, if you guys are into the sci-fi and anime and cosplay convention scene, you definitely want to check out their channel as well. So yep, this is definitely on the watch list. Check it out. The guys at Beatdown Boogie put on a fantastic production every time one of their videos go up. And again, thanks for watching the show. We'll see you guys next week. Don't forget, questions right down there if you want to get them answered. And stay tuned now for Tuesday's video, which will be coming up tomorrow, which will have all the tech questions, tips, and tricks around airsoft video production in airsoft and having to fix your gun, repairs, tech work like that. Thanks a bunch, and I'll see you next week. But until then, go out, play some airsoft. But no matter what you do, call your freaking hits.